Alright guys, well, it's story time again at Cabin Time, Oregon. So, welcome to Oregon as usual. You know, it's been, I guess, a year. I'm not sure if it's been a year or 2 years, but I did a Bigfoot story. You know, about something that happened to me in my lifetime when I was a tow truck driver, doing a recovery, and something really strange happened. And since then, people viewed the video. They loved the video from my story that I told, which is all 100% true, as I recollect. I've never went out looking for Bigfoot. I'm not a Bigfoot researcher, or I never studied Bigfoot or anything. I just, all my life, I'm 71 years old now, I have heard that they're around here. Okay, whatever. I mean, I just, I guess it's possible. But even when I told my story, I was reluctant to tell my story because so many people, when you tell a Bigfoot story, they just think you're lying or you're making it up. Some of the comments I got back on my Bigfoot story, I had a few, not bad, tell me that, wow, it sounds like all the other stories I've heard. And I read the comments and I loved every single one of them. You guys were fantastic out there giving me feedback and comments. I think I had over 500 comments. I've never had more than 2 comments on any of my videos I've ever done. So with that many comments coming back from all you guys and you telling me your stories from all over the United States, some of them were overseas, different places that people had seen them, heard them, you know what I mean? So I was impressed by all these stories, so thank you very much for that. I've always been kind of wanting to make a big comment on that to tell you guys that I'm very thankful and grateful for all of you watching my video and commenting. This is a different story. This one happened 6 days ago. I live in a small community here, and I'm in a valley, a very small valley, probably about a mile long. It's not very wide, maybe a quarter of a mile or half a mile wide. And I'm in the foothills of the coastal mountain ranges in Oregon. So from my house to the beach, I guess as the crow flies, it'd probably be 40 miles. But as you drive, it's 50 miles. So with that being said, there are a lot of trees, valleys, and this coastline runs up and down the whole coastline from California, Oregon, Washington, right up into Canada. So it's hundreds or thousands of miles, not thousands maybe, but it could be 1,000 miles long coast range. And there are places, even in Oregon, the forest is so vast that you can't get to it, only maybe by foot. And hunters hunt up there a lot, and they do get around up there a lot. And I've heard stories from here in Oregon, Washington, California, all that hunters have ran into these Bigfoot. But sorry about that, but I'm just finishing up on a cold, just about gone. I'm gonna hope that I can get through this, so I may have to shorten it up. So here's the deal. Last Saturday morning, my dog woke me up at 4:30 in the morning. He gets me up every day, well, not me, my wife, every day at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. But it was Saturday, and on the weekends, I take him out. So when I hear him whining, it's time to go. I never know what time it is because I don't have a clock in my room. I don't know until I look at my phone or look at the wall in that front room what time it is. It was 4:30 in the morning. A little early, and I warned him on Friday night that, hey, it's Saturday tomorrow. I'd like to sleep in until about 6. So he whines, I get up, get dressed, we head out the door. It's foggy. It's probably in the high 30s, 38, 39-ish, right in there. Very, very foggy, very dark. But it was comfortable outside. It wasn't bad. And I took Blue, my dog, outside. We're in front of the house because my front porch light sheds light in front of my house. So we went to the left. And we're standing there, and I'm waiting for him to do something. He sticks his head up and starts sniffing the wind, and he does that a lot. I mean, that's a pretty common thing for him. So he's sniffing the wind, sniffing, and I'm like, hey, dude, it's 4:30 in the morning. Let's take care of your business. Let's get back in the house. We're standing there, and I mean, it is dead silence. There's no wind, there's no nothing, no cars. And as we stood there for, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, waiting for him to make some magic happen, I heard this loud, very loud squeal. And I thought to myself, when I heard it, I thought, oh wow, you gotta be kidding me. That sounded like a Bigfoot squeal or holler. But it was like down the canyon, north of where I live. And so I told Blue, I go, come on, let's go around the side of the house. And about that time, a car goes by. And so we moved around the other side of the house, and we're standing out there in my side yard. It's a little darker over there. And again, can't see anything. As we're standing there, he's sniffing the wind, and I'm waiting for him to do something, because I thought, I heard it once, maybe I won't hear it again. But if I do hear it again, I'm on a better side of the house so I can hear the noise. The squelch or whatever it is. So I'm standing there. I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes go by. Heard it again. Really loud, long beller. And of course he's not going to do anything. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I walked by my front steps to the house after we heard the first one, the first scream, he wanted to go back in the house. I said, we're not doing that. So we walked around that side yard, and then we heard that one beller. And I said, let's just wait here for a few minutes, see if we hear another one. I mean, I could hear it down the way, and it just echoes down the canyon when he makes this noise. And then pretty quick, a few minutes go by, and another one. Stood there for a few more minutes, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes, nothing. I thought, well, it's gone, it's moved on, or it just stopped making the noise. The dog wouldn't do anything. So we ended up going back in the house. He was done. Blue was not very comfortable out there. In the meantime, I'm taking all this in, thinking, you know, this valley, we've got a lot of corn down here, a lot of corn. And they just took the crop off probably 2-3 days ago. And I've been thinking about this all week, and I thought, maybe that guy, Bigfoot, came down here to get some fresh corn, and it's all gone. And maybe that's what he was screaming at, or telling his family that, hey, there's no more left. I have no idea what was going on there, but to me, you know, I've lived here, I'm 71 years old, and I've lived here in this Banks community for almost 50 years now. I've never heard anything like this before. Now I'm wondering, when I heard that tree knocking up in my woods that one day, probably a year or so ago, I go, maybe that wasn't a tree limb falling, maybe it was somebody up there banging on my tree. I don't know. I'll never know now. I didn't research it. I did have him, however, come running out of the woods one day, scared to death, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. I mean, this guy doesn't run from nothing. In fact, he's just the opposite. He goes in to investigate, and I'm afraid he's going to get himself into trouble someday by doing that. Whether it's Bigfoot, bear, a mountain lion. We got all that stuff out here. And God forbid, he's probably going to get hurt. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of tell you my latest experience here. And I keep telling my grandson, someday I want to go back up in them woods and see if I found the canyon back where my experience happened about 13, 14 years ago. I found the canyon back. It's a very narrow little canyon. I mean, honest to God, when you get to the bottom of the canyon, it may be 5 or 10 feet wide down there. But it's 200 or 300 feet, almost straight down. It's really hard to get in and out of, because when I was there removing cars in the past, towing, we had to have a cable, to use a cable to get ourselves pulled back up out of there. I would pull brush out of the ground because the ground was so soft. It's always shaded and it's always dark in there. And certain parts of the year, times of the year, you'll find water down there. Not very much, but there's like a little stream of water. Usually runs down there fall, winter, and maybe even in the spring, depending on the weather that year. But there's water resources all over out there in them woods. I mean, you know, looking back, thinking that, boy, I tell you, Bigfoot would do well out there because it's so dark and it's so rugged that most people don't go in and out of places like that. They just don't. Even hunters. It's too steep to get in, steep to get out. I guess if you would start down at the bottom of a canyon and walk in a ways, that's okay. But with all the trees that are falling all the time, they're constantly big trees, Doug firs. They block your route when you're a hunter. They don't want to put up with that crap because if they shoot a deer, they've got to get that deer out of there. So they don't want to be in too rugged of an area. So a lot of this land out here in our coastland, mountains out there, people just don't go there. And I think that's one reason why they could thrive out there. And where I live, I'm probably 5 to 10 miles away from the coast mountains. I mean, I'm close. And our trees, actually across the road out here, which is maybe a 1/16 of a mile from my house, there's trees from there all the way going to the coast, west, head west, and you're in trees. If you go about a half a mile down my road that I live on, you will get into the trees that take you to Vernonia, and in Vernonia, there's trees again going all the way to the coast. So I'm in a major tree area. There's a lot of logging goes on around here because of where we live. And yeah, nowadays they're getting to where they block off a lot of logging roads. They don't want people up there in them woods, so it keeps a lot of people out. So maybe that's one reason why people haven't been making a lot of reports about Bigfoot in our area, because a lot of the roads you got to hike in. And sometimes you may have to hike in there 20, 30 miles if you're going to find something. They're not just out there on the main roads a lot of times, even though you will find them. Not very often. But someday, me, my grandson Jacob, Blue Dog, we may just take a drive way back up in there and just for the fun of it, do a camp out up there one night, see if anything happens. But I guarantee you this, we will take a few firearms with us for protection. Not to shoot them, to scare them, hopefully, away. And if I do that, I will take my camera. I'll do my best to video what I can, if I can. So with that being said, adios guys. I'm glad that, very glad for your comments and very thankful that there are so many kind people out there that understand Bigfoot. I'm learning, and I'm starting to watch more YouTube videos on Bigfoot. Some of them are garbage, but there's a lot of believable people out there that, in my heart, I think that they've, like me, have either heard, seen something, and I'm glad they're sharing it. So keep sharing, I appreciate it. So I'm going to say adios and see you on the next video, guys. Tell them goodbye, Blue.